Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson with the Thriving in Motherhood podcast, and this is your ultimate guide to family road trips. This is something that our family has done since we had one little baby, and now we have 4 kids. Oldest is 10. It's become part of what we do every summer. We drive from Georgia to Utah and back again, which adds up to about 70 hours when all is said and done on the road. And we've also done everywhere in between, from 5 hours to 17, 12, you name it. We've probably done that stretch of a drive. And so today I'm going to share with you the best systems and tricks and organizations and hacks that we now use to help us get smoothly on the road as a family of 6 for our long road trips.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation, and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
I want to take just a moment and share a free gift that I've created for you called 3 Secrets to Do More of What You Love Without Hiring a Babysitter. This workshop is available for you to go watch right now and start taking action on so that you can do more of what you want to do, more of what's on your heart, more of what is important to you with your children at home. You don't have to wait for them to be in school or for you to have loads of time. There are ways to start moving forward right now. And you can check that out at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/workshop. We're going to cover a lot of ground in today's video, so I want to give you a little bit of a map to let you know what we're going to cover today so you can skip around and find what you need. So first, we're going to talk about the list that you need so that you can stay organized. There's quite a few of them. Next, we're going to talk about our favorite gear. Now, you can do this with buying nothing. That's how we've done it. We're very minimal in our road trips, but we've discovered over time there's a few things that make our lives a little bit easier. We then will cover packing organization, how we get everything nice and neat into the car, and also how that transfers when we get to our location. We're going to talk about car activities that we do with our kids and have for them. We're going to talk about our favorite audiobooks, how we get organized for staying in hotels every night, how we tackle rest stops as a family, meals, all of the food that we do on the road, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. And then we're going to end with what a day on the road looks like. So buckle up. We're going to get started. All right. So the very first thing that I like to do is sit down when I know a trip is coming up and make some lists. So the very first list that we like to make is a packing list. Everything that we need to bring in our vehicle. That means the clothes, the extra things for activities, the whole 9 yards packing list. We then make a list for the things that we need to do 2 days before. So there's some prep that needs to happen, things like the actual packing, okay, that needs to happen 2 days before. Some examples on the thing of our 2 days before list, just to give you a clue: wash all of our laundry, pack kids' clothes, deep clean house, shop for food, prep, cook, clean out fridge, clean out and prep travel fridge, and put our mail on hold. That's my 2 days before list. Now, the next list you need is the night before morning up. Like if you're leaving super early in the morning, it's the night before. If you're leaving in the morning, this is what we do as we're rushing out the door. So we set the air conditioning to 83 degrees, or if you're doing heat, set it to like 68 or whatever it is so your pipes don't burst. Empty out the fridge, take out the garbage. We want to close all of the gates, close blinds. We move plants into a bathtub, get it all really watered. We've got one that's got some sunlight in it, and cross our fingers that they don't die while we're gone for weeks. Make sure our garden is watered and ready to go. So these are some things. You're going to have your own list based on your own circumstances, but that kind of gives you an idea of what we do and that we don't have to think about it as we're trying to run out the door. Then we also create a list with our family about what everyone hopes to get out of the trip. So what are things people want to do? What are they most looking forward to? What's most important to them? That doesn't mean we'll do everything, but it really helps to get everyone's expectations from the youngest to the oldest out on the table so we all know what to aim for on this adventure. And then we also have a list about all the food we're going to bring and kind of break it down. So that is five lists that I have. Now, I actually just put it all in for quite a few years, I just did it on a whiteboard with my kids. We just quick talk through it. But this year I'm putting it in a spreadsheet because I'm like, why do I make this up every single year? So we're now getting that automated. All right, next section is about our favorite gear. Now, like I said, we are very minimal when it comes to our drive. We are all fit into a minivan, and what we've discovered is the less that we have in the car, the more comfortable everybody is. So it becomes this trade-off of bringing enough so you have what you need, but taking as little as possible so that you are as comfortable as you can be as you're in close quarters for, in our case, 70 hours. And also when we get there, we inevitably end up bringing something back with us. So we always want room in the car to be a little bit squishier on the way home. So first, for food, we have a cooler. Now, if you're going for 2 days, just having a regular cooler that you pop an ice pack in is excellent. We used that for our very first year out on that 70-hour drive, and it was so much work. I'd get to the hotel and be swapping out ice, and we ended up throwing a ton of food away because it would go bad. Like, it was just a ton of work to manage that cooler. And so if you're going for 2 days, 1 night on the road, cooler is totally fine. But if you're doing more than that, we bought a fridge that plugs into the car for power, and that is what we now use to keep our food cold. And that way, when we get to a hotel, I just need to bring in the entire fridge and pop it in there, and we plug it in, and I don't have to transfer food in and out. I'm not cleaning, things just stay cold and fresh, and they last longer. The second thing we have is a dromedary. Now, this is it's a 10-liter one. It's for bags, or for water. It's a bag that we put water in, and it's the best thing ever. We use it to refill water bottles because not every rest stop has good water to fill up at. So we use it to refill water bottles. We use it to wash off hands. We use it to wash off feet. We use it if we're eating to wash off our dishes. There's a little strap, like a little hook right by our van door. We just hook it up there, and there's a little stream of water that comes out, and everyone kind of use it. It's very quick, easy, but it has greatly improved our driving experience. And we make sure everybody has their own water bottle, easily accessible. For our kids, we got them like 3 years ago from Walmart, and they just have a little flip spout with a straw. We have garbage bags that we've always used in the past, but now we've got, if you watch my car organization video, I've got a trash can, which update has been working incredibly well. Van is clean, trash free. It's all in the garbage can. So we've got that. And then we I did not do this for maybe 2 years, but we got them last year, and they are backseat organizers. And I know it's standard, like tons of people have them for the road trip. Here's what I liked about it. One, kids just get stuff in the back, and it's nice they have a place to put it. The thing I don't like about it is I feel like they ended up holding on to and collecting a ton of stuff, and it got really messy. But pros outweigh cons. Backseat carrier stays. They need a place to put things. Then we've got these plastic Rubbermaid, I think it's a right made. I'll find it for you and link it so you can find it. But these 3 drawers each, and I bring 2 of them. They're plastic drawers that you can pull in and out, and they are the perfect size for clothes. So that's what my kids put their clothes in, and we'll dive into that more in my packing video, or in the packing section. But that's what we love. Andrew and I each have a small bag, and then we bring a pack and play for one of our kids and an air mattress for one of our kids. So everyone's got a spot to sleep in the hotel and also while we're out and about. Okay, packing organization. Let's talk about this. So each child, I go with 6 drawers in our car, and they just stack in the back of our van. And the reason why I love drawers as opposed to bags or packing cubes is because we are gone when we go on these 70-hour road trips. We're gone for a month from our home, and it's so nice that when we get to where we're going, we just pull out the drawers, and every kid essentially has a dresser drawer to be able to put, because we're doing laundry a gazillion times. They're pulling clothes out, putting them away, and it allows things to stay fairly organized and gets rid of that like living out of the suitcase feel. Now, Andrew and I still both have the living out of the suitcase feel, but it's more manageable to not have everybody in that scenario. So for each drawer, each kid gets a set of church clothes, 5 sets of play clothes with socks and underwear like rolled into them. That way I'm confident that everybody has a set of everything. They get a swimsuit, a raincoat, and a sweatshirt. And that helps us. We go out west, and so temperatures at night are cooler. Or if we go up in the mountains, they're very, a lot cooler. During the day, it's warmer. So we need to be prepared for both, but again, wherever you're going will dictate what you need to pack. Just giving you some examples. So we've got 4 kids, so that's 4 of the drawers. 1 drawer is devoted to shoes for everybody, so all of our kids' shoes and Andrew and my shoes as well. And then we have an extra, that last drawer is for things like sunscreen, aloe, toiletries, the toothbrushes, shampoo, conditioner, soap, all of those things. And then Andrew and I each have a bag. It's probably like that big. It's one of the like travel size. It's not like a roll bag, but one that you could carry to put on an airplane. Nice and compact. And that's enough for us. We pack really light. Probably about the same amount what the kids do, but keep it pretty simple. There's also probably pajamas in there. All right. As far as car activities go, We keep it so simple when it comes to car activities because what we discovered is if I have tons of stuff, I feel like I've got to manage it all. And so I'm constantly throwing things back, and then there's messes everywhere and we have to clean things up, and it becomes very stressful. The other thing that we've observed, again, because we've gone our first drive, we had a 6-week-old baby. Okay, so we have been doing this from the very beginning, and we just realized that kids really don't need a lot. They are happy to sit there and look out the window most of the time. They're pretty like they can learn that skill. It's okay just to sit there. And so we do have a few things though. So every kid gets a boogie board. They're, I don't know, this big, and it has a little battery in them. I bought ours 3 years ago and they're still going strong. One died because it was left out in a rainstorm, but all the other ones, they're good. Then I go to the dollar store and I get a few things. So I get like some stickers that every kid gets their own sticker pad. Every kid gets a little notebook they can put their stickers into and do some drawings on. I'll try and find like a little coloring book that every kid can have. They get like colored pencils or twist pencils. I might get some glitter tape, things they can just like put in their notebook. And then I usually get a surprise. So all of those are about $1 each. And then splurge on like a $4 or $5 Melissa and Doug sticker book with reusable stickers. And I leave it as a surprise. And we save it for like desperate moment. And with all of these things, I'm not rushing to get them into my kids' hands or for them to use them. I have them in a bag, one bag that I keep with me, or we kind of keep in the center of the car, and we very slowly get them out, but only as needed. It doesn't start out with them having tons of activities, which means that back of their car seat, like the car seat organizer, is fairly empty when we hit the road. And it's just a place where they start putting things as they slowly acquire things over our 3-day drive, and then we try and reset it for the drive home and kind of bring back that novelty into our road tripping. Okay, so if our kids are not playing with tons of stuff all the time, what are we doing? Audiobooks, lots and lots of audiobooks. So a few of our family favorites are, and again, we've done this with our kids. We started listening to a lot of these when our oldest was 4. Now she's 10, so they do span like a good amount of ages. But Focus on the Family, Chronicles of Narnia, it's basically acted out. It's just acted out, and it's really fun. It's got a lot of background noise and stuff, so it keeps even the little kids engaged. The Penderwicks, it's a full series about a family of 5 kids, and it's really fun. Our kids, it's hilarious. We've got Little House. That one's also geared more to older ones. That's one we're listening to this summer. Everyone's been looking forward to it. We've got Little House on the Prairie series. We've listened to all of them in the car with our kids. Mr. Popper Penguins is a big hit. The Moffat series is maybe one that's less heard of, but we listened to that one last summer on the road, and it was hilarious. We had so much fun with that one, and we still reference those silly stories. My younger kids like the A to Z mysteries. Even the older ones are fine listening to them, but those are geared. They're very short, fun for the little ones. Some of the school books that we brought in are the Burgett's Book for Children. So that's another thing I do is I look at kind of those classic homeschooling books that I haven't read aloud all the way. So we do the Burgett's Book for Children. This year I got Story of the World Volume 3. We've already listened to the first 2 just driving around town. So we're on the 3rd one now. So I went ahead and got that. We started listening to the Green Ember series last year, and that one's a little bit scary, so they want to listen to it with us. So we've listened to the first one. We might listen to the 2 and 3 on this drive. We've got Boxcar Children books that they enjoy listening to, and then Pilgrim's Progress. I found an awesome one. It's got 60 different voice actors that acts out Pilgrim's Progress. We have tried reading it ourselves from the book a few times, and I'm realizing like this is not working, and it's on like every Charlotte Mason homeschooling book list you can imagine. So we use the drive to help get through some of those meatier reads that are harder with some cool listening. We also bought years ago Alexander's Amazing Adventures. It's character based from Values Parenting, I think, and it's lots of songs and stories with lots of music, like a audio musical for children. So those ones are really engaging for your younger kids. So if we've got little kids that are getting squirrely, we'll put on either music or one of these more, musical stories that they can listen to. I think we're pretty well prepped. Let's talk about hotel organization. So once we get to our destination that night, what do we do? And the first year we lugged everybody's, like those drawers, we lugged them out. We had our cooler we lugged out. We had our bags. Like it was basically unpacking and repacking the car every night. And it was exhausting. Not to mention in the summer, the mosquitoes are really bad. So we'd get eaten alive as we're doing it and they'd get in the car. It was pain. So now we are very strategic. So I've got one red duffel bag that I bring that has the air mattress in it with the pump It has the blankets and the sheet for the kids sleeping on it, and it has our noise machine in it that helps our youngest sleep, but it's great for everybody when we're all together in a room. Then I have one bag that has toiletries, pajamas, and change of clothes for all of us. We have a tech bag to bring in like our laptop and computer, or like it's the same thing, computers and phones and Kindles for listening to audiobooks. We bring in our fridge and just plug it in, or your cooler. And then I bring in a breakfast bag. So what we're going to eat in the morning. We have done hotel breakfasts before, but they take forever. And if we're trying to, we know we've got to drive 10-hour days. It's really hard to start off an hour slowly munching and exploring new food. So sometimes we do it. We definitely do it sometimes. But we also discovered we can just bring either breakfast cookies, or I just get oatmeal packets and we microwave them in the hotel. And then everyone quick eats in the hotel and we hit the road, and I can rinse things out in the sink. Or we just even bring it on the road and eat as we're driving. So that is what we bring into the hotel. We do pretty quick. We didn't bring books last year, and we stopped at a family's house. We stopped at family's house our first night, and they were actually decluttering conveniently and gave our kids a huge anthology book. And so we ended up bringing that in, and that ended up being our bedtime stories, which was excellent. So we'll probably bring some book that we can read every night together this time. Okay, now that we've talked about hotels, let's talk about rest stops. So when we get to a rest stop, we want to be very strategic about that time, because we have lots of people to get in and out of the car and lots of things that need to happen. So first of all, where do we stop? One of our favorite places is Walmart, because we can all get out, get into air conditioning that's like really cold. Walmarts across the country are cold, and get produce. So we'll often restock on fruits and vegetables that are just make it a little more fun to go back in the car. One of our favorites last year, we really, splurged and lived on cuties, the little tiny oranges, and that kept everyone really engaged for like an hour or two when we get back in the car. So we often would grab a bag of those, or pears or raspberries. I don't know, just something new to mix it up. Then we also started taking advantage of welcome centers. So they are great because there's bathrooms there, there's picnic areas there, and there's also a map to see, what it is that we want to do in the area of anything, or it's just fun to, for everyone to kind of see where we are on the map. Then we also would locate parks that are not too far off the road if we feel like we just needed to get out and play for a bit and picnic. And then we have some rules at the rest stop. So at our rest stop, everybody uses the bathroom, and we refill our water bottles. It doesn't matter what your levels are or if you feel like you have to go or not. Those are the two things everyone has to do. And when we're getting close to the rest stop, we like to prep everyone and say, okay, everyone get your shoes on, because that is one of the biggest pain points if people don't have shoes on yet. And then when we're there, if Andrew and I would typically eat at rest stops, if it's not a quick one, like bathroom in and out. If it's one of our like lunch stops, then Andrew and I'll eat, and we'll let the kids run around and play, even if it's just for a few moments. We don't try and get them to eat outside of the car. Now, do we love the messes in the car? Well, no, not really, but it's worth it for us for that trade-off of just letting the kids run and play for a while. So the other thing is at rest stops, we have a rule that we have to stick together. So out and about town, we might let our kids have some more freedom to go places by themselves. But when we are traveling on the road, there's a lot of people, there's a lot going on. And so we stick to the buddy system with parents, not just with kids, but with parents. We all have to stick together. All right, let's talk about meals. So when it comes to food, our strategy for food on road trips is that we want to eat things that are nourishing, that feel good, that help us feel our best, and give us energy that we need to keep going and not feel gross. Because if you just like binge on road tripping, the typical road trip food, you start to feel really gross. And we are on the road for way too many days at a time to be able to pull that one off and be excited about it. So typically morning of like the very first day of our road trip, we will bring breakfast cookies. My friend Faith from Faithful Plate Flow has a really great recipe for carrot cake ones that we enjoy. She's got a couple different varieties that we've tried, and they're very dense and nourishing and filling, and they taste good, and they're bite-sized, so it's easier for us to eat while we're driving, and they don't get too messy. They're not that crumbly. If I have frozen pancakes in the freezer, waffles, we'll throw those in for breakfast another day of the week. And then our favorite thing is the oatmeal packets, or I even just bring plain oatmeal actually, and we'll cook those in the hotel as we're driving. And we also bring all of the kids, like each kid gets their own bowl and spoon, and I just keep it in one bag. It's very efficient. For lunch, again, our goal is to eat filling food that helps us feel good. So I make a mango salad that lasts us usually 1 to 2 days. This has quinoa, mangoes, red onions, peppers, corn, and then some red wine vinegar and olive oil, salt, pepper, avocados. Did I say that? Maybe even a lime. I don't know, but that's the general idea. I don't really follow a recipe. And then we eat with chips. And so it's great for Andrew and I if the kids aren't loving it for whatever reason. Oh, black beans are also in it too. And then they use chips, and we eat that for 1 to 2 days, and it fits great in our fridge. Then I cook a bunch of pita bread. So I used to have sourdough. I just make a batch of sourdough and then quick cook it on the griddle. Probably a day before we go, pop it in the freezer, and then 1 to 2 days in our trip, it makes a really great lunch with hummus and avocados that we can eat and snack on, and the kids can snack on it with whatever they want. And it's something that if I take it frozen, even if there's not room for it in the cooler, it's fine. It just defrosts. It'll still last a few days. And then as we're getting to the end of our trip, we've kind of eaten through all that stuff I prepped. 3 days, it's really hard to cook enough food and have it stay good for that many days. I think the first year I tried to cook pasta salad. Like, I cooked so much food, but by day 3, it just had gone bad sitting, like trying to keep it managed in the car. There's a lot going on. It takes a lot of energy and time to keep your food good on a road trip long term. So at least for the amount of people that we have. So our strategy on day 3 or 4 or 5 are bagel sandwiches. So this is great because we can just go to Walmart, grab a bag of bagels. I prefer wheat bagels or wheat English muffins. And then we grab hummus, and the kids love getting some lunch meat on that, and cheese and tomatoes or cucumbers. We just quick slice it up and eat it. And I also, last year, I brought a cutting board, a knife. Actually brought our camp stove. We did a 5 or 6 day trip, and we stayed at a location for a little while. So we brought like a camp stove and more pan and things like that. But this year I'm planning on bringing just a bag with basics. So like forks and knife, cutting board, probably utensils for everybody, and some paper products. Last year we brought like not paper products, but I think we're just going to make life easier for ourselves and bring some paper plates. No, we did bring paper plates last year, and we're going to do it again this year. It was really great. All right, for dinner, our strategy for dinner is to find a place to stop where we can play at a park and we buy food, because like I said, for the amount of time that we're on the road, it's really hard to pack enough food for the amount of days that we're on to really fill everybody up. So our favorite places on Friday nights, we still grab a Papa John's pizza, and what we do is we look at a place 30 minutes ahead and we call the order in, and then we just drive straight to Papa John's and grab it and let everyone run into the bathroom, and then we go to a park and play. Chipotle is another one of our favorite places. Everyone can get really full, and it's basic food. You don't feel gross after eating it. And then Subway and Jimmy John's are probably our third pick there, but again, something that we definitely stop at. When we're at the playground, the kids' job is to play, and this one we typically stop a little bit longer at. And our job, Andrew and mine, is to find a place to sleep that night. Now, in the past, we did a couple of things. Like, for sleeping arrangements, you can plan it out ahead of time, but that adds a lot of stress for us. And these rests, it just takes time. Like, we've had nursing babies, we've had diaper blowouts, we've had throwing up kids, we've got not morning sickness. Oh yeah, I've had morning sickness on the road. The kids have had, motion sickness, all of the things. And so trying to get to pre-planned destinations can be really intense. Not impossible, but intense. And so then we tried the route of let's drive until we feel like we just can't drive anymore, and then we'll find a hotel. But the problem with that is you cannot drive anymore, and it's really hard. Like, we were in heavy traffic, and we were trying to find a place to get off the road and trying to find a place to book a hotel. It was so stressful, and it was not happy that night. And so we now have a new strategy of when the kids are playing at the park, we then look and say, okay, how many more hours do we have in us? Typically 1 to 3 hours. And then we decide from there, what city do we want to stay in? We can kind of price out some cities, again, just on our phone, and book a hotel. For years, we've used hotels.com because they had stay 10 nights, get a night free, which when you're driving as much as we are, that added up. Plus, Andrew would use it for work trips. But now that is going away this summer. So I don't know exactly we might still just use them and just not get as good of rewards. But I don't know what the rewards, anyway, that's what we used to do. It's kind of old news. We haven't figured out a new system yet. I'll give you an update at the end of the summer if we find something better, or if you know of something, let me know because it's relevant. So that's what we do. They play. We get everyone in the bathroom, make sure everybody's water bottles are refilled. And then, yep, so that's dinner. Snacks are lots of fruits and veggies. So we constantly like make that the priority. And then good meals. And then for everything else, this is what we do, because food can be a morale booster and we want it to be something new and interesting. So I go to the store and I probably buy 8 to 10 things that we don't normally buy. Pretzels, crackers, granola bars, fruit leather. I don't know. I just kind of go down the snack aisle. We always shop perimeters in the store. So I just go down the aisle we never go down to and find stuff. Goldfish is another good one. And then I come home and I break them up into bags. So every kid gets a bag. Like, I don't know if we do a gallon. Maybe they get a gallon size bag, but I doubt it's full. It's not full. But they get little snack size bags of all these different things that I've broken it up, or a granola bar or two. And then they have that for their whole trip. If they eat it all, it's gone. It's gone. But that is what we've done. And in the past, I would kind of ration it out. So they would ask me for it. I think sometimes I would just give it back to them and let them kind of self-gauge what they want to eat. But again, this is something that ends up in the car organizer if I do pass it back to them. And it just kind of fills in the cracks. It's something a little bit interesting, keeps things fun. Oh, cereal. That's another thing I buy. I buy lots of cereal and put them in bags because we don't really eat cereal at our house. Today, I'm excited to share with you about the Made to Soar Next 90 Days program. It is a self-paced online course with lots of interaction from me that has transformed the lives of women from all around the world as they have learned to build unique family systems that support them in their own unique life circumstances, that allow the necessary and essential things of life to get done and leave time and energy to do what matters most to them. I'm going to let some women who have been through the program tell you a little bit more about their experience now.
Just mucking through the day was just survival. And then it was like the thought of trying to do anything extra was like, well, that's just never gonna happen.
I think with Made to Soar, I don't know, I was probably hoping that it'd be the magic bullet for morning.
I mean, we had no systems in our house. I mean, we had no morning, we had no routines.
How can I infuse meaning into my life? And even if I do the same thing, how can I think about it differently so that I'm feeling fulfilled?
And so that was my goal in joining the Next 90 Days, was to figure out how to kind of handle all of these different domains. How do I become intentional with all of these things and make sure that I'm meeting my own expectations?
Now I have systems set in place that things like the laundry, just automatic, things get done.
Because I was able to have the foundation of some of these systems and routines, when things got crazy, I could still go back to those and be like, okay, well, at least the laundry got done. At least my kids got fed. At least I read the Bible and did my workout today.
So it helped me go through a couple big moves and big changes and to keep some level of stability for the family.
Figuring out how do I homeschool? How do I do it with consistency and some level of discipline? And then how do I build a business and still find meaningful work outside of my home? All of that, I wouldn't have known how to organize it. It was all kind of just like spaghetti in my brain.
With Made to Soar, just gaining clarity about what I wanted my days and weeks to look like, my hours and my spare minutes.
This is how we get to where we want to go, and just changing those expectations has helped me be happier.
I have power to change my circumstances, right? That I can put in new routines. I can solve some of these problems. I can think about things differently and realize that I have power to be in a better place.
All right, we're going to tie it all together now with what a regular day looks like for us on the road. So typically we're getting up and it's about 8:30 by the time we get in the car, because if we're at a hotel, we're, putting away air mattresses and pack and plays, getting around through the bathroom, prepping whatever breakfast we're going to eat, and either eating there or in the car. It just takes time to load everybody up, get everyone dressed and changed. And if we're the day that we're leaving the house, we're running through that last minute checklist of things we need to do. So about 8:30, we just had the 2 little kids, 1 little kid. We could be out the door by 5 or 6 in the morning, but it's just slower to mobilize everyone now. Then we're going to drive for 3 to 4 hours. We'll have this chunk of morning time, and this is where I might pick some more school-like things, and we're rotating through them a little more quickly. Things like Story of the World, Burgess book, about birds. We might be doing like some games, and I don't really care about it educationally. Like, it's not like a high priority that we're doing school on the road per se, but it's just a way to break up the day. Then we will hit lunch after about 3 to 4 hours, and we will have a slightly longer stop. This is where we've done sightseeing before. We've gone to like quilting museums or like walked along a river, did some exploring in the town, but it kind of just depends where we are at in the country and what's accessible at the time that we're there. And also, we might make it a little bit shorter if we can just keep going. But the goal of the stop is for the kids to really get out and play, stretch their legs. And then we get back in the car for another 3 to 4 hours. And this time we start with a rest and retime, and we're pretty strict. Like, we've fed our kids, we've done something engaging, they've got to run around. And now we say, like, this is it. You can listen to audiobooks. We might listen to some quiet music, but we're not like handing things out and doing extra things. We're not going to keep passing food back to them. We just have some powered down quiet time in the car. And then we hit, after an hour or two, we kind of get things going back again. We might listen to another audiobook all the way together. This might be when I start pulling out some of those activities. Again, I'm very slow to dole those out. We don't get out very many, but just something novel like stickers or, whatnot, something simple. And then we get ready to stop for dinner. And as I've already explained at the dinner, at our food section, we find a hotel to stay in when we're, we go get fast food somewhere. Chipotle, Subway, those are our favorites. Jimmy John's, something like that. We find a park to play out where the kids are playing. We find a hotel to stay at. And then after everyone's had a really good play, or we've done some hiking around a nature trail or something that we've done before, we hop back in the car and drive another 1 to 3 hours. So when we're doing our 30-hour days, we try and get about 10 hours in a day. And they're long days. We're on the road somewhere between 12 and 15 hours, probably closer to 15 hours on our 10-hour driving days. They're long. They're long days. But then it is during this last chunk that if we need to, we pull out a movie. So up to this point, our kids probably have not had any screen time. And during day 1, we probably won't even use it. But by day 2 or 3, or if we're on the road 4 or 5 days, they will get a little bit more, progressively more screen time every day as morale slowly dwindles in our car. But we do our best. And then we get to a hotel and we grab our hotel bag and load and get in the car and get going. And we repeat it again the next day. So I think final, thoughts or overview recap is the less you pack, the better off you are to an extent, right? You want to find your sweet spot. So we've always erred on the side of less, and that's fine because we can acquire more as we go. I think a few other that's what I'll have to say there. Favorite gear, we always start with nothing. Like, if you've never done this, don't feel like you've got to go out and buy everything that I say unless you know that you have this problem specifically. But like, when you're on that trip, just be very aware. We go on and just like, okay, we're just going to be bad at this and we're going to pay attention to what our pain points are and we're going to solve them. And we've done that every year. Every time we've driven in the car, we're just aware, get curious instead of frustrated, and just be aware, like, this is what's not working right now. How can we make it better? And so sometimes we do this like mid-drive, like, okay, I need a pair of sunglasses. We'll go buy a pair of sunglasses. Okay, it would be helpful if we could have a phone thing for our, GPS. We're not like balancing on the dashboard. Okay, we'll go grab that for $5. So we will solve problems as we go along the way. We don't wait until we're desperate. As far as packing and organization, you probably need less than you think you do, and just think very strategically about when are you going to use each item and how can you only, organize things so that only the things that you need for each phase of your trip are what you're getting out, because it's really exhausting to keep lugging more than you need from place to place to place. So we try and get very strategic and organize our bags and organize our car so that you're only getting what you need. Car activities with your kids, less is more. Don't try and be like super awesome, cool mom and surprise your kids with a gazillion things, because it'll probably just overwhelm everybody and you'll have lots of little lost pieces places. So start with less, and as they ask for things or need things, or you feel like you need to, second wind, then pull things out. But go slow in that. And then if you can, try and cultivate a love for audiobooks. Last summer, we ended up listening to audiobooks. Like, we listened to way more, like, of just stories, because we got so absorbed in books that when we pulled up, we'd been on the road for 5 days. We'd been on the road for 5 days. We get to my parents' driveway, And we sit there for another 10 minutes to finish the story because we are all so engaged with the book. So, and that is years of practicing, but highly recommend, even in just small doses, cultivating a love for audiobooks, because it really does A, pass the time, and B, it's just fun. It's so fun to have those experiences with our kids and those stories together. They're great memories. Hotels, get very clear what you need in the hotel if you're doing that, and only bring exactly what you need. Highly recommend that. Rest stops, get very clear on the purpose of that rest stop. Think about what you need to do to be ready for it, and also to like get back into the car and arrange things appropriately. In fact, rest stops are the reason why we don't let our kids bring tons of blankets and pillows and stuffed animals and stuff, because it's too hard to get in and out of the car when everything's falling on top of you. So just be aware of long game, because rest stops in a road trip are a key part of the process. Meals, think about what food your family is used to, what's going to help you feel good, what's going to help you give you energy, and try and pack accordingly to really support you, because sitting in the car for many days doesn't feel awesome. And if you can eat food that helps you feel light and comfortable, it's just better all the way around. And then I shared what a day looks like for us, but this really came from replicating our day at home. So as you're thinking through a drive on your road trip, what do your family rhythm already look like? What does a typical day already look like for your family? And then bring that into the car. And that'll just smooth everything out for everybody, because they're already used to this pattern of living. And then that will help you create something that's comfortable for your family on the road as well. And if you're like, we don't have a family rhythm, we don't have family systems, I would love to help you with that with the Made to Soar Next 90 Days program. Helps you create these anchors in your day and a family systems and routines so that everybody's on the same page and your days just flow more smoothly and you get those essential things done, so you've got time to do more of the things that matter most to you. So I think that wraps it up for our road tripping guide. I hope that this is an encouragement to you and helps you as you are embarking on trips this summer, and that you're able to create a lot of good memories with your family. And I'm excited to talk with you next week.
Where you are planted, watch the blossoms grow.